It's time to talk about the future of Dawson Mercer, aka Merce Doggy Dog. Sorry if I'm singing out of tune. I'm not a singer, but you get the point. There's a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, Kyle Chocolate Play Announcer, Devils Rider Pucks Pitchforks, and also part-time credentialed media member, Trey Matthews. If you missed yesterday's episode, I am back to my normal streaming platform. Technical difficulties, no more. Technology is both great, but also tricky when things go wrong. Never taking it for granted, but I'm sure you guys don't want to focus on the technical stuff. Let's talk about the New Jersey Devils like I do every day over here at Locked On Devils. What's on the agenda for today's episode? We're going to talk about the dog, Dawson Mercer. I talked about him in the previous episode, and I said that he might be on borrowed time given the circumstances of his contract and also the direction that Fitzgerald might want to take the roster. So in the first segment, we will reflect on Mercer's 2024-2025 season. Then in the second segment, we will look at his contract, and I will come to the decision as to what's best for both sides. What's best for Mercer? What's best for the Devils? And then in the third and final segment, let's talk about some MVPs on the Devils. No, none of them were finalists for the Hart. By the way, congratulations to Connor Hellebuck for winning both the Vezina and the Hart, the first goalie since Carey Price in 2015 to win MVP. Some Devils players did receive MVP votes, but like I said, none of them were finalists. Wanted to talk about it just a little bit more. All right, let's talk about Mercer. This year, Mercer appeared in 82 games. What else is new? One of his strengths is his availability. He's never missed time due to injury. He's never been scratched. That's something I cannot take away from Mercer. He is the Iron Man for the Devils. He put up 19 goals, 6th on the team, 17 assists, 8th, 36 points, 8th. He scored 12 even strength goals, 6th on the team. He had 6 power play goals, 5th. He also had 2 power play assists, which gave him a grand total of 8 power play points. He won 96 faceoffs, which gave him a faceoff win percentage of 40.5%. He also had 60 blocks, which was tied for third among forwards alongside Nico Hischier. He had 18 takeaways, 4th among Devils forwards. He had an offensive point share rating of 1.4, 8th, a defensive point share rating of 2.2, 11th, giving him a point share rating of 3.7, 11th. He had an expected goals for rating of 46.5, 10th on the team. See, Mercer, I would say, is anywhere from a good to a solid contributor, but we know that he's capable of so much better. Now, before I share my thoughts on the matter, here's what Mercer had to say in terms of things he would like to work on and also how the first year of his new contract went. Take a listen.
Yeah, pretty good, I'd say. Obviously, there's things you want to work on, like offensive ability, like maybe scoring some more goals. Defensively, I thought it was good, and like I said, it's early on in my career still. Like, there's a lot to gain and learn and keep on improving. I know it seems like it's been a while, like 4 years now, but it goes by really quick. So I know there's still a lot to take in and keep on improving on, and that's a big thing with my focus here. But at the same time, we know that we want to make the jump to keep on going deeper in the playoffs, and that's something that we're really striving for.
What are some things you're going to work on in the offseason to take your game to the next level? Have you set some goals for yourself?
Well, I think strength is a big thing. A lot of players will maybe say that, but I feel for me, if I can get some stronger, maybe it'll help for the face-offs and quickness of my skating, just to make sure that I can be a little bit more explosive. So I'll say the strength is a big thing.
Here's the thing about Mercer. When it comes to bottom six depth, if I had to pick one player to get a goal, I would say it would definitely be Mercer, but I know he's capable of so much better. Last season, we talked about how he had career lows in a lot of categories. He had 33 points in 82 games played. This year, he did improve, but only slightly, 36 points in 82 games. During the 2022-2023 season, Mercer had 56 points in 82 games played. He netted himself 27 goals. He was one of the main reasons why the Devils were so successful, because it was people like him, Tomas Tatar, Dougie Hamilton, Eric Haula. Those players were scoring at a decent clip, which took the burden off of the shoulders of players like Nico, Jesper, Jack. The Devils had all sorts of weapons on their roster, which is why they were able to win 50 plus games. So the thing about Mercer is, like, I still think that upside and potential is there. He's a solid player. He's used on special teams. He does face-offs. He appears in all 82 games. But I just know he could take his game to new heights. And he's still young. He'll turn 24 in October. So I'm not saying like it's an Andre Palat situation where his better days are behind him. No. Mercer has his entire career ahead of him, and he's very useful. But given his contract situation and the direction that Fitzgerald might try to take this team, I don't think Mercer has much longer as a member of the Devils. We'll talk more about that momentarily. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action than with FanDuel. It makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. So we got the Pacers and the Thunder. I know the Thunder are the favorites to win, but I don't know about you. I love Tyrese Halliburton and what he's been doing. A lot of people voted him as an overrated player, but he's proving the naysayers wrong. I might have to ride with Indiana. It's been a good NBA Finals, similar to the Stanley Cup Final. We got some good championship matchups. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. All right. This past offseason, Mercer signed a 3-year, $12 million deal. As you might recall, at the end of his entry-level contract, that was the big talking point heading into the offseason. What would his new deal look like? Because on the one hand, Mercer has a lot of potential, like I said in the previous segment, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. But on the other hand, he did post a lot of career lows. The Devils missed the playoffs. Mercer kind of disappointed. And I'm sure that's where the conflict was taking place. It wasn't until like way later in the offseason, I believe just like a few weeks before training camp, Mercer officially signed on the dotted line. But nonetheless, he signed a 3-year, $12 million contract. I think a lot of people were satisfied with it. Mercer was asked during exit interviews when reflecting on his season, what did he take the most pride in? Here's what he had to share.
What part of the game did you take the most pride in this year for you personally?
I would say defensive side. I think I've mentioned it that I like maybe get a bit more goals than offensive side, but defense, like I think our PK was really good this year. Defensive zone, switching from playing wing at the start of the year and then going to center, it's a bit of a change. So I think just adjusting that out, it was good for my development. But overall, yeah, defensively, I think took a plus.
I also asked Mercer, like, what does he do to stay healthy? Because that's been a big issue for the Devils. Jack Hughes could never stay healthy. Nico has dealt with injury. Luke just got shoulder surgery. Jonathan Kovacevic, Brendan Dillon. The Devils were dropping like flies as the season progressed. So I just had to ask Mercer, what does he do to make himself available for all 82 games? Here's what he had to tell me and also James Nichols of New Jersey Hockey Now.
Fourth straight season, you've been able to play all 82, play every game in the playoffs. Just what goes into being able to get on the ice consistency every game.
Yeah, I've said it. I want to be out there every night to help my team win, do what I can, and it's something that I really take a lot of pride in. It gets long, and it's a big year when you're playing all the games, but I think it's really important for me. It's something that like I said, I take a lot of pride in, and I'm proud of it, and it's something that I hope to do for a lot more years to come.
To add on to that, do you do anything specifically to help with injury prevention, or maybe if you're dealing with something, you have a certain treatment that helps you a little bit?
Just taking care of your body is a big thing. Also, try not to put yourself in those danger areas of when bad can really happen on the ice. You never want to see someone get injured, and try to avoid that, like doing it. So just making sure that I'm smart when I'm out there playing, when to take the risk, when to maybe play it safe, and just giving it my all every night is a big thing. I think when you're playing hard competitive, that's when it doesn't happen, because you're ready for battle. I think it's when you really take your foot off the gas, and that's something that I don't want to do.
The fact that he's able to suit up in all 82 games, it is compelling, but at the same time, when you listen back to that soundbite, Mercer sometimes stays away from trouble or things that might put him into a uncomfortable position. He tries his best, but he doesn't push the envelope, if that makes sense. But when focusing on Mercer, he does provide a decent amount for the Devils, but I know he's capable of so much better. But here's the big question, and I talked about it in the prior episode. Should the Devils make it a priority to trade him? I've talked about Andre Palat and his contract circumstance. So Palat originally signed a 5-year, $30 million deal, 2 years remaining on his contract, cap hit of $6 million. I said priority number one, you got to get rid of Palat's contract. He's a solid player, established champion, just has not worked out with the Devils, and the Devils could use that money elsewhere if they really want to have a big offseason. But I said not too far down the list. In fact, right behind Palat when it comes to shedding away some money, you have to look at Dawson Mercer, because like I said, 3-year contract, $12 million total, $4 million annually. Should the Devils trade him away, or should they continue to roll the dice with them? This is where you have to make a tough business decision. And if Fitzgerald really wants to take the Devils to the next level, if he really wants to change the roster like he says he wants to do, then I think you do have to part ways with Dawson Mercer. So the sentiment for me does not change. I think Mercer will be on the trade block for the Devils, because when it comes to players like Andre Palat, Eric Haula, Dougie Hamilton, all three of those players have trade protection. Now, what's the difference between Mercer and those three players? Mercer has no clauses attached to his deal. Theoretically, you could trade him and maybe get a draft pick or a prospect, whatever the case might be, and there you go. You free up some cap space, and you could go spending this offseason. I think Mercer would be appealing for a lot of teams because he's still young. He's a solid contributor when it comes to offense. Defense, he has improved. I do want to give him credit because he was used on special teams a lot, not only on the power play, but also the PK. Mercer plays in all 82 games, so you know that effort isn't really an issue with him, but he's not going to push the envelope just to keep his body safe. He relies on other people, but that's subjective. I don't know how anyone really feels about that. The point I'm just trying to make is that Mercer is a good player that would be appealing for a lot of teams. Mercer is also very versatile when it comes to positioning. Sometimes we can see him at center. Sometimes we can see him on the wing. During exit interviews, he says that he prefers to play the wing, but when Jack Hughes went down with his injury, he understood why Sheldon Keefe had him play mostly center to close out the season. I think a lot of teams also would take note of that. If the Devils are unable to trade away Andre Palat, you could best believe that Dawson Mercer, this is just a guess and I'm just speculating, he would 100% be dealt away. That's just my prediction. If the Devils are unable to move on from Palat and his contract, Mercer is next in line. He's on borrowed time. He's going to be given the Alexander Holtz treatment, which is he's always going to be brought up in hypothetical trade scenarios. Now, here's the thing about Mercer, like between him, Palat, and Hala, all three of those players are on the hot seat. If you ask me, I think Dougie is the safest of the bunch. If you were to do a 1-for-1 deal, or if you were to get like a big name player, I think Mercer would be a decent selling point alongside maybe a young defenseman like Ethan Edwards, Seamus Casey, or Shimon Nemitz. I'm just throwing ideas out because the Devils want to change. They're going to have to make some tough decisions. So once again, Mercer, mediocre season, lots of upside, still young. And I think since he has 2 years remaining on his deal and it's not the worst contract in the world, I still think the Devils can nab themselves something when it comes to Mercer, or just use it to clear house a little bit and free up some cap space. We'll see what happens. But in my opinion, Mercer's days as a Devil are close to over. But we'll see how the offseason shapes out for the Devils. And I really hope if Mercer latches on to another team, he's able to take his game to another level. I'll be rooting for Mercer. I don't know about you, but this is just the messy part of the industry. And this is where Fitzy is going to have to part ways with some players that I'm sure a lot of fans love and also their teammates love, because Mercer is a character in the locker room. Johnny Kovacevic even brought it up during his exit interview. So I think Mercer would dearly be missed. And he was sort of brought over in the Taylor Hall deal. Remember, in addition to a few other assets, the Devils got a first-round pick in the 2020 draft, and they used that selection to get Dawson Mercer. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to miss the dog. Merce dog was definitely an interesting player to watch. All right, before I talk about some players that received MVP votes from the media, let me tell you guys about Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've actually used Indeed before to book myself some play-by-play gigs. I use it to this very day. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support my show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Okay, the NHL announced the winner of the Hart Trophy, and it goes to Connor Hellebuck up in Winnipeg. Very successful season for Hellebuck, aside from not reaching the Stanley Cup final. But you know what? Vezina winner, defends his title, and now he's an MVP. I remember just a couple off seasons ago, we were talking about silly season discussions. Could the Devils get Hellebuck? I said I would have loved to have Hellebuck on the roster, but I don't think the Devils would have been able to afford him. But let's talk about some players that received some votes for the Hart. Nico Hischier received 1 4th place vote and 1 5th place vote for the award. I know Christy Flannery from the Hockey News, she put a vote in for Nico to finish in the Hart, obviously not be named a finalist, but gave him some sort of recognition. So I believe one of those votes belonged to her. There was also another writer, I think I saw on social media, he put Hischier 5th, and then he had Nick Suzuki as his top candidate for the Hart. I'm just like, to each their own. So yeah, I think Christy gave Nico a 4th place vote and the other writer gave Nico a 5th place vote. We talked about how Nico was snubbed of being a finalist for the Selke. He finished 4th during the race, but for him winning the Hart, honestly, you can make a case because the offense, the defense, it's built around Nico Hischier. The Devil system, it doesn't function without Nico. I had Jim Behringer on this show not too long ago who voted Nico first place for the Selke, and he explained how Nico is a well-oiled machine, how everything just centers around him. We saw it back in January when Nico went down with his injury. Jack was still playing, but the Devils offense still couldn't function. Yes, Jack is a superstar player, but Nico is the glue that holds everything together. Sheldon Keefe even said that he never gave Nico an easy shift. Nico did a little bit of everything from an offensive standpoint, a defensive standpoint, face-offs, special teams, you name it. Nico is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. No pun intended. I'm glad that Nico is getting some sort of recognition because I still feel as though he's one of the more underrated players in the NHL. And I actually just found the writer who gave Nico a 5th place vote in the Heart. Shout out to Dylan Laux. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He covers the Wild for the Hockey News, but he had Nick Suzuki over Leon Draisaitl. But you know what? Not really going to judge that. I'm just glad that Nico got some sort of recognition. And also Christy Flannery from the Hockey News, I believe she was the one who gave Nico a 4th place vote. I can't really confirm that, but I think she mentioned something about it. But either way, shout out to all the writers who have been giving Nico some sort of recognition, whether it's Christy, Jim, Dylan. I'm just glad that Nico is finally being put into a bigger spotlight, and he definitely deserves it. 35-goal season and still able to do a lot more. Jack received 1 5th place vote for the Hart. Jack's season got cut short once again due to a shoulder injury, back-to-back seasons. If I had a nickel for every time Jack's shoulder was the reason for his season to end prematurely, I'd have 2 nickels. But it's strange that it's happened twice, and not only that in back-to-back years, but Jack in 62 games played, he made the most of his opportunity. He was a big catalyst for the Devils, 27 goals, 43 assists, 70 points in 62 games. I'm sure Jack would tell you that he knows he's capable of so much better. But, man, going back to the 2022-2023 season, I'm sure Jack received way more attention for the Hart because he finished 8th that season. And I remember PK Subban wasn't too happy with the final results. So glad that Subban also backs up Jack and sort of treats him like a little brother. And now Jesper Bratt. He received 1 5th place vote. I still think Bratter is very underrated because he led the Devils in scoring with 21 goals and 67 assists for a grand total of 88 points in 81 games. Also worth mentioning, he broke Scott Stevens' single season assist record, a record that has withstand for many years, for a few decades. And the fact that Bratter broke it, I think it goes to show you that, is he the best player in the NHL? I wouldn't go that far, but he certainly has contributed in more ways than one. So I'm glad that Bratt is also getting the recognition he deserves. And I hope someday he's able to finish a little higher in the rankings. But shout out to Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, the 3 main stars for the Devils, receiving recognitions for the awards. I don't think Jacob Markstrom received any votes for the Vezina. I'll have to look back on that. But, yeah, I mean, so you got Nico for the Selke and the Hart. Then you got Jack and Jesper for the Hart as well. We'll see what the Devils are able to do next year, and maybe they'll get even more recognition. But once again, congratulations to Connor Hellebuck, Leon Draisaitl, and Draisaitl scored the game-winning goal in OT to even up the series in the Stanley Cup Final. We got a series once again. I hope you guys are enjoying that one. Buckle up. It's going to be a hell of a ride. And Nikita Kucherov, the finalist, but Hellebuck comes out victorious. I don't think I saw that one coming, honestly. I would have predicted for either Kucherov or Draisaitl to win the Hart and Hellebuck be a finalist, but I didn't expect for him to win. I think even in the PR report, they said that it was a surprising result. But let me know your thoughts. What do you want to see the Devils do with Dawson Mercer? What did you think of his season? And also, if you had a vote for the Hart, Who are you voting for and why? And who are you giving recognition to? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day in New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Thanks for listening once again.